Before we begin, write the time and where in the world you are in the comments and relax into the story. A gentle history, the public bathhouses of 18th century Japan. Let us travel back now softly to a time long ago, to the quiet alleys and lantern-lit corners of Edo-period Japan. The year is perhaps 1784, though time here is not strict. What matters is that we are stepping through mist and wood into the world of the public bathhouse, the Sento. This story is not urgent. It flows gently, like warm water poured into a wooden tub. Today, we are not concerned with battles or emperors. We are here to explore the slow communal rhythm of bathing, the art of washing, the etiquette of steam, the world of everyday life in one of the calmest corners of human routine. So breathe deep. Let the story unfold like a silken robe. Chapter 1. The Arrival. The earliest light of morning filters softly through the wood-framed windows of Edo. The year is 1784, though years in this world feel more like whispers than certainties. The mist rises from the stone streets. A stillness clings to the air, not from sleep, but from respect. The cities pause before the first motion. Our story begins with a man, middle-aged, stooped, but not from age, from observation. A man who notices things. He wears a faded indigo robe, tied carefully, neither too tight nor too loose. Under his arm, he carries a small wooden pail. Inside, a square of soft cotton cloth, a cake of pale soap wrapped in wax paper, and a smooth wooden stool, the same one he's used for nearly 20 years. As he walks, the city unfolds slowly. Lanterns are being lowered. Doors slide open with the hush of oiled rice paper. A crow announces morning with a singular, almost reluctant caw. The path to the Sento is familiar. He passes the tofu maker's stall, already steaming. A red-faced vendor unloads baskets of daikon. A young girl, hair still tousled from sleep, washes her face in a ceramic basin beside her family's inn. Their eyes meet. They bow. He takes a detour today, through a garden once tended by a friend now gone. The stepping stones here are uneven. Between them, weeds grow in a carefully unkempt way. A practice, not a neglect. Even disorder in Edo has elegance. The bathhouse is near. It does not declare itself. There are no grand signs, only a dark blue norin fluttering before a cedar door, painted simply with the word for hot water. Steam rises from the rear, curling like smoke, vanishing just before the rooftops. He stands before the door, inhales deeply. Smoke from pine ash, the clean edge of river stone, the dry sweetness of tatami matting, and steps inside. Chapter 2. The Changing Room. The warmth is immediate. The changing room, known as the Datsuijo, is bathed in soft amber light. Wooden beams stretch across the ceiling, their surfaces darkened with age. The floorboards are cypress, smooth underfoot, carrying the faint scent of tree resin and candle wax. The room is not silent. It is filled with the gentle music of everyday motion, cloth rustling, sandals being removed, the soft clack of bamboo against wood, a subdued cough, the murmured exchange of greetings, low and respectful. Wooden cubbies line one wall, each with a neatly woven basket. Above each cubby, a slip of paper bearing names or numbers, inked carefully by hand. Some papers are yellowed, curling at the corners. Others look freshly replaced. A young boy, perhaps 6 years old, fidgets with the sash on his robe. His mother kneels behind him, smiling as she helps him unwind the knot. An older man nearby folds his robe with almost ceremonial care, smoothing every crease before placing it in his basket. In one corner, a small table bears a kettle and several small porcelain cups. The tea is barley, roasted, bitter, warming. A man pours a cup and holds it in both hands, letting the steam rise into his face before sipping. A painting hangs on the far wall depicting a mountain scene. Mount Fuji, perhaps. The colors are faded but still vivid in shape. Beneath the painting, a wooden plaque carved with the phrase, "Clean body, calm spirit." There is a slowness here, not because of laziness, but because haste has no place. It is understood that nothing important can happen until one has taken the time to arrive fully. With towel in hand, the man moves toward the bathing hall. Chapter 3. The Washing Station. The man enters the washing area slowly. He carries with him no sense of hurry. To wash is not simply to clean. It is a preparation for stillness, a ritual before restoration. The washing room is large but humble. The walls are lined with natural stone, the floors tiled in worn slate. Wooden stools are placed evenly beside shallow tubs of warm water. Buckets sit at the edge, filled from brass taps that drip with a gentle rhythm. Steam clings to the wooden beams above, drifting in slow patterns. The air is humid, but not oppressive. It carries with it the subtle fragrance of hinoki, Japanese cypress, and the distant scent of crushed herbs, perhaps camellia leaves or dried orange peel. The man finds an empty stool. He kneels onto it with practiced grace. Next to him, a father gently instructs his son on the order of washing. Hands, arms, neck, chest, and legs last. There is no rush. The boy mimics the father's movements, giggling softly when the water splashes. The man takes his cloth, dips it in the warm water, and begins to wash. He moves slowly, scrubbing his shoulders in deliberate circles, tracing the contours of his arms with the soft cloth, mindful of each stroke. He leans forward, reaching behind his neck, pouring a ladle of warm water across his back. The sensation is both cleansing and grounding. Washing is never hurried. There is time for everything. He stops occasionally to breathe, to notice the sound of another bucket filling, the creak of a stool, the low murmur of someone humming an old folk song. A woman 3 stools over braids her hair with careful fingers, preparing it so that it will not touch the bath water. Her hands are steady, and her expression is one of quiet attention. The man rinses his feet last. He pours the final ladle of water over his toes, feeling the stream wind its way along his ankles before pooling on the slate. Then, without speaking, he bows lightly toward the space in front of him. He rises, clean, but more importantly, prepared. Chapter 4. Entering the bath. The central room houses the communal bath. It is the soul of the Sento. The bath itself is a large rectangular pool, its sides crafted from smooth hinoki wood. The water inside steams faintly, not bubbling or roiling, but resting like a mirror clouded by breath. A gentle current flows from a spout set into the far wall, constantly feeding the bath with fresh warmth. The room is quiet, the sounds are softened by the moisture in the air. Footsteps muffled against the wooden floor, water shifting as someone enters or exits the tub. The man places his bucket on a wooden ledge near the bath. He does not speak. He steps in slowly, first one foot, then the other. His knees bend and his body disappears beneath the surface. He exhales. The water wraps around him like memory. The heat is not sharp. It is deep, sinking into muscle and bone, dissolving tension without force. He lowers himself until only his shoulders and head remain above the surface. The warmth invites stillness. He leans back against the edge. His eyes travel upward toward the ceiling beams darkened by years of rising steam. Tiny droplets hang like stars in the light from a paper lantern. They tremble, then fall. Time slows. Around him, others rest in the same silence. A man with gray hair sits with his eyes closed, hands floating in the water. A woman hums so quietly that her voice blends with the sound of the spring. The man lets himself drift, not into sleep, but into presence. Thoughts soften, breath deepens. There is nothing to do but be. He remains there for minutes, maybe longer. The bath is not a place to visit. It is a place to return to. Chapter 5. Small Conversations. Later, as the bathhouse becomes busier, quiet voices begin to rise. These are not the conversations of business or urgency. They are slower, like the stories told around a hearth. Two older men speak of radishes. One grew them in a small garden near the canal. The other remembers how his grandmother used to pickle them in stone crocks under the floor. A woman recalls a snowfall, the one when the roof collapsed on her neighbor's house. No one was hurt, she says, but the firewood was soaked. The entire street shared theirs that week. A boy asks his father if fish sleep. The father says yes, but only when no one is looking. The boy laughs and asks how anyone could possibly know. Laughter comes in small waves, it never shouts. It rolls like a ripple in the bath. There is a man from a distant district who speaks of a ferry crossing and how the boatman whistles a tune for luck. There is a seamstress who once embroidered the curtains for the tea house on the hill. She remembers every stitch. These stories do not belong to one person. They are left behind, floating lightly above the surface. The man listens. Sometimes he nods, sometimes he does not, but he hears. Chapter 6. Drying, dressing, returning. Eventually it is time to leave. The man rises from the bath. The air feels cool on his skin, though the room is warm. Water trails from his arms, his legs, forming small puddles that vanish into the wooden slats. He dries himself with a slow rhythm. The cloth is coarse but familiar. It smells faintly of cedar. He returns to the changing room. His robe awaits, folded neatly in its basket. He puts it on with reverence, not because it is expensive, but because it is his. He pours a final cup of tea. It is lukewarm now, but still carries the flavor of roasted grain. He drinks it slowly, watching the steam rise. He gathers his pail, his stool, his cloth, each item returned to its place. He bows toward the attendant, who nods silently in return. And then he steps outside. The light has changed. Morning is well underway. The streets are awake. Voices call, carts roll, dogs bark. But he walks slowly. He passes the tofu shop, the daikon vendor. The girl with the wash basin is gone. The wind chime on the gate swings lazily. The man feels the world around him. He steps into it, but he does not carry its weight. Not yet. For a little longer, he carries the bathhouse. Closing, the echo of steam. The bathhouse remains even after one leaves. It lingers, not in the body, but in the breath, in the way one pauses before speaking, in the quiet joy of clean skin and empty thought. Somewhere, another man steps through a curtain. Somewhere, a woman folds her towel with care. Somewhere, steam rises. The Sento is not a destination, it is a reminder. A place where one returns to oneself. And as you drift now into your own stillness, let that memory carry you. The water is warm, the air is gentle. You are safe. Sleep well.